Does it feel like you're surrounded by liars and flatterers? Feel like you're the only believer left? Deceivers cheating you out of money or your means of sustenance? Well, then Psalm 12 is for you. Let's take a quick look at this little psalm. Verse 1, Psalm 12. Save, O Lord, for the godly one is gone, for the faithful have vanished from among the children of man. Everyone utters lies to his neighbor, with flattering lips and a double heart they speak. May the Lord cut off all flattering lips, the tongue that makes great boasts. Those who say, with our tongue we will prevail, our lips are with us. Who is master over us? Because the poor are plundered, because the needy groan, I will now arise, says the Lord. I will place him in the safety for which he longs. The words of the Lord are pure words, like silver refined in a furnace on the ground, purified 7 times. You, Lord, will keep them. You will guard us from this generation forever. On every side the wicked prowl, as vileness is exalted among the children of man. A beautiful psalm. It is a lament. And so we can look for those 3 things, the complaint, the asking God to act according to his character, and then trusting. So first we see here in verses 1 and 2 and verse 8, we see the complaint. The godly one is gone. The faithful have vanished from among the children of man. The psalmist feels alone, left to be the only godly person left, or at least the only one that's taking a stand. And it says here, everyone utters lies to his neighbors with flattering lips and a double heart they speak. That double heart speaks of deception. Of course, the flattering is untruthful compliments and different things, kissing up, if you will. And then down here, on every side the wicked prowl. The psalmist feels that they are surrounded by nothing but wicked people. The situation is desperate, and vileness is exalted. Instead of righteousness, vileness is being exalted. So that's his complaint. And so then he asks here in verses 3 and 4, may the Lord cut off all flattering lips. Now that goes back up to verse 2 there with the flattering lips. May the Lord cut off all flattering lips, the tongue that makes great boasts. Those who say, with our tongue we will prevail. And that goes back to him cutting off the lips and the tongue. With our tongue we will prevail. Our lips are with us. Again, going back to those flattering lips. And then a great boast here. Who is master over us? Not only is the psalmist surrounded by ungodly people and wicked people, they think they're in control. And they seem to be in control of everything. And they're controlling things with their tongue, with flattering, with deception, and just flat out lies. They're making a mess of things. But then verse 5, the Lord speaks. And he says, because the poor are plundered. The poor are having even more taken away from them. What's justly theirs is deprived them. And then because the needy groan, the needy are crying out to God. And then, I love this, I will now arise, says the Lord. And you just kind of get that feeling when you read that psalm, it's just like, oh boy, something's going to happen now. The Lord has been, his anger has awakened. And he says, because the poor are plundered, because the needy groan, I will now arise, says the Lord. I will place him in the safety for which he longs. Who is him? Well, it's talking about the poor and the needy who are calling out to him. The godly ones and the faithful that the psalmist feels like have vanished. He is going to keep them. He's going to place them in the safety for which they long. And so then, because the Lord has said this, there's this section of trust that we see in the laments. We're going to trust the Lord. It's a prayer in pain that leads to trust. And so here's the trust part. The words of the Lord are pure words, like silver refined in a furnace on the ground, purified 7 times. What's he getting at there? The words of the word are pure. Well, there's no impurity, there's no deceit in the Lord's words, or if we would say this, the Lord's promises. Because the Lord's promises are his words to us, and they're pure. There's no deceit, unlike the wicked. The wicked's words are full of deceit and lies and flattery, but not the Lord's. His words are pure words. And then it says, you, O Lord, will keep them. You will guard us from this generation forever. Again, this is the trust portion, and it's talking about what is the them referring to, and what is the us referring to? Well, it's referring back up here to the poor and the needy, the godly and the faithful. God is going to keep and guard his people. There's no boast here, just fact. The Lord is omnipotent, and he will keep his people. He will protect them as he said he would. It's no boast, just facts. Unlike the wicked who are boasting, but they don't really have any reason to be confident. They think they're in control, but they're not. And so we have this great passage of the scriptures. Now, just a side note, there is a group of people who believe that the King James Version is the only version that people should use. And sometimes even in their doctrinal statements, they'll use Psalm 12, verses 6 and 7 to say that the Lord is going to preserve his word and that it's been preserved in the King James. And the reason for that is in the King James, it says, you, O Lord, will keep them. You will guard them instead of us there from this generation forever, only except it says it in King James language. And they make the point that verse 7 is speaking about the promises of the Lord, that the Lord is going to preserve his promises, and that through 7 revisions of the 1611 or 8 revisions or whatever it's up to now, they claim that these verses are talking about translations, even though there was no translation when this was written. But that's not what's going on here. The Lord is not promising to preserve his promises. There's no comfort in knowing that the Lord's going to preserve his promises. He's promising to preserve his people in this verse. And so we have a great promise here that we see reiterated in the New Testament in John 17:11, when Jesus prays for us, his high priestly prayers that's sometimes referred to in John 17:11. Second part of that verse says, Holy Father, keep them in your name, which you have given me, that they may be one, even as we are one. And the Lord will preserve us, and he preserves us through our faith. 1 Peter 1:5 says, who by God's power are being guarded through faith for a salvation ready to be revealed in the last time. It's a great doctrine we call the perseverance of the saints. Those who are truly the Lord's will persevere. Their faith will persevere because he holds us up. By his power, he holds us up. And so he will keep us. He will guard us. His promises to his people are sure. He will place us in the safety for which we long. What a God. So don't despair, Christian, when you feel like you're the only one. When you feel like the godly are gone and the wickedness is just exalted and wicked people are prowling around for you, God will preserve you. And so as we observe this psalm, we see in here that the Lord keeps his word. He hates injustice. It's because the poor are deprived and the needy are crying out to him. He's standing up, and it's uh-oh time for the wicked. He's going to keep and guard his people. Now, what do we learn about us? Well, we are surrounded by ungodly people. It shouldn't be surprising to us as Christians that the world is ungodly and they're going to behave in ungodly ways, and especially with their lips, they're going to be willing to deceive and to lie. That should not be the way of God's people, right? We should be truth tellers. And then sometimes I'm prone to fear and despair, like the psalmist was here. He felt like he was all alone, and he was despairing. And so for us, it's good if we feel despairing, we need to go to the Lord in prayer. That's these laments, right? We complain about the way things are, and then we ask God to act according to his character, because he says in that Exodus passage that we refer to all the time, he will in no wise clear the guilty. And so we can ask him to act according to his character. So our response: trust the Lord and take refuge in him and his ways, and then long for the coming kingdom. This world is not our home. I'm just a passing through. My treasures are laid up somewhere beyond the blue. The angels beckon me from heaven's golden shore, and I can't feel at home in this world anymore. What a great hymn that is, that expresses our longing for the coming kingdom. But there's injustice now, and helps us to long for a kingdom of righteousness and a king of righteousness. So hope in the salvation of the Lord. That's where our true hope lies, is when Christ returns for us. And he will bring us to a place of safety for eternity. So that's going to happen. God promises it. And so hang in there, Christian. It's going to get real good one day. So some meditation and prayer points to leave you with. You may be surrounded by wicked and vile people and feel all alone. Don't despair. The Lord will bring us safely to himself. He will preserve us. When it seems like the wicked are in control of everything, remember that they really aren't. They really think they are. They think their money and their power, and especially in this psalm, their lips, they think they can talk their way into or out of any situation they want. The omnipotent Lord, the all-powerful Lord, will bring justice one day. And then, because we're supposed to represent the Lord well, is there a poor and needy person that you could help? Or perhaps there's someone who's facing an injustice that you could come alongside and encourage as you strive with them for justice. We live in this fallen world, and there are times where God gives us opportunities to right wrongs and to stand for people who are persecuted and have every right to be treated better. We should stand with those folks in those situations. We should stand up as the Lord stands up for his people. And so I'll leave you with those, Lord willing. Next time we'll get into Psalm 13.